Hello everyone, welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. I'm Kim and I am here to talk about the last year. It has been an amazing first year on YouTube. Today is my 1 year anniversary of creating content on YouTube on topics like gardening, cooking made from scratch type cooking, preserving and do-it-yourself projects. So I've been up now for 1 year and y'all, it's been a ride. It's been a good ride. So I wanted to take a moment to do a recap of everything that has happened over the last year when it comes to gardening, preserving, and cooking from scratch. So, for those of you who follow me, you know I love to garden. It's one of the things that I get the most joy out of, with the exception of eating home cooked food. And so we have had a fabulous year in 2023 in creating content, the garden, cooking, preserving. And I just want to do the recap with you because I brought you with me for that whole ride over this last year. As I mentioned earlier, today is my 1 year anniversary of uploading content on YouTube. Now, I've been on YouTube for like 10 or 11 years, but I wasn't creating content. I was just looking at everybody else's content. And thanks to some family members and some friends, I started uploading my content onto YouTube so I could teach others how easy it is at times to grow your own food, cook your own food, and bring back the tradition of doing this stuff ourselves versus depending on someone else to grow it for us, put it on a truck, track it all over the world, put it in a grocery store for it to sit there where it was picked too early, before it was ripe, and then try to get joy off of that kind of food. So I have been uploading for YouTube on December 27th, that's the date, December 27th of 2022 is when I uploaded my first short. And it's been a ride ever since then. I have just under 200 videos on YouTube. So if you haven't checked any of those out, you might want to go check some of those out. Now, I know some of those first videos were, they were rough. I didn't have a microphone. I was in the dark, the lighting was all wrong, and I still get the lighting wrong today. So I'm still not perfect. I'm still learning, and I'm still learning from you, my viewers, on how to do things better and better with each video, with each comment. I am not too good to learn, and I'm always looking for a way to improve. So the first videos were my indoor videos. And so I'm going to just show some clips here of some of those indoor videos. I'm in the dark, y'all. I don't have a microphone on. I got a cat, photo bombing my videos. But that's how I started. And so last year, this time, I started my seedlings. And we'll get into seedlings again for this upcoming season. But most of my first videos were all about my seedlings. Starting my seedlings, I did a whole series, I think it was about 10 or 11 weeks or something like that, where I planted my first seedlings and I shared every week how they continued to grow and produce and get full. And then I showed you where I transplanted them out into the garden. But in addition to that indoor growth space that I started a year ago, and so I'm in my second year of my indoor growing space with my indoor tent and all of that kind of good stuff. But in addition to starting seedlings, I also harvested vegetables, so lettuce and bok choy and some of those type things was coming in my indoor grow space as well. And so we were able to enjoy those things while we were waiting for that weather to warm up and for us to get outside. Now, Once we got outside, I had a lot of cleanup, y'all. I did not clean up from the year before, so I had a lot of work to do to get the garden prepared for this year. So I had to clean all my beds out. I had one bed that was so bad, y'all. I just ripped it completely out and started a brand new bed in that spot. And so that's how I started early spring, late winter, early spring. Um, I got my first green stalks outside, and y'all, I love my green stalks. I have 11 green stalks. I'm always talking about my green stalks. Now, I didn't start the season out with 11 green stalks. I started the season out with, I believe, 9 green stalks. And somehow the 10th one showed up, and then before you know it, the 11th one showed up. And, I don't know where they came from, y'all. I love GreenStalk so much. It's the perfect vertical garden. So there are tons of videos on my channel talking about GreenStalks. I got a whole GreenStalk playlist for you if you're interested in GreenStalks, how to set them up, the function, how they're designed, the intent, the concept. There's a playlist with all things GreenStalk. So if you're interested in that, if you've heard of GreenStalk, but you just want to see how I think about GreenStalks, check out some of those videos. Also on that playlist, every month I try to do a separate GreenStalk update. So there'll be updates where I show all 11 GreenStalks and I show how they're growing throughout the season. And my lettuce was amazing in my GreenStalks this past year. Lettuce did well. What else did well? My sweet peppers did really, really well in the GreenStalks. Just in general, the GreenStalks always do well for me. So I wanted to highlight that in this video. So if you're only interested in vertical gardening or container gardening, I got videos out there showing those things as well. But the 2023 season was amazing. I was able to grow a year's supply of, I believe, everything in my garden with the exception of broccoli and cauliflower. Everything else, I got at least a year's supply, and we won't even talk about those green beans, y'all. I probably have 2 years, well, a year and a half to 2 years supply of green beans, and y'all, I still haven't finished my 2022 green beans. So there are lots and lots of beans in my home. We did a ton of canning as well. And so I have canning videos out there to show you how to preserve the harvest. I also grew a year's supply of just my herbs. And I know I'm bouncing all over the place, but I just didn't want to miss anything. I wanted to make sure I share with you all of the wonderful things that we've done over the last year. So let me get back to the herbs. So this is the first season that I can recall that I have not had to purchase any of my herbs from Azure Standard outside of bay leaves. I'm not really growing bay leaves. And the last time I purchased my bay leaves from Azure Standard, I was trying to get this much and I got a bag this big, y'all. So we won't be purchasing bay leaves for 10 years. But all of the other herbs, my thyme, my oregano, my parsley, my cilantro, my basil, my marjoram. Marjoram was new to me this year, so I grew marjoram for the first time this year. What did I miss? All of the herbs I typically use in my cooking and the foods that I like to cook, I am now growing in my own garden. And so everything is being grown just outside this window here or over at the neighbors. So for those of you who follow me know that I take care of my neighbor's garden as well. And there were a ton of comments all year long as I'm showing videos of what's happening over at the neighbors. I had somebody even comment and say, I will sneak over at night and plant something over there. And you know what? You're right. I will plant something over there in a minute. And so there's my garden as well as next door. I take care of the neighbor's garden. And That garden did beautiful as well. And yes, I have one green stalk over there as well. So of my 11 green stalks, one of them sits over at the neighbors. That's actually, we call it green stalk number 10 is what we call that green stalk. But at the neighbors, those are all raised bed gardens, which I have as well. I have raised bed gardens. We've already talked about green stalks. I had an amazing year with the raised bed gardens, with everything from beans, green beans at that, tomatoes. We planted over 100 tomato plants this past season. And the onions, my best onion harvest ever in my raised beds, the best carrot harvest ever in my raised beds, as well as celery. Y'all, I was overrun with celery. Now, I don't even like fresh celery. And I was only trying to plant a handful of plants because I wanted to freeze some, because in the winter I like my soups and my stews, and I do love to cook with celery. I just don't like it for fresh eating. And y'all, I planted, I know, probably close to 50 celery plants, which y'all, I didn't need that many. And the way I harvested my celery over the year was that I didn't cut the whole head out. I only cut off the different stalks, and the celery continued to grow. So it's not like I got 50 heads and I was done. I had 50, 60, 100. It just kept coming and coming and coming. And I believe it just died a couple of weeks ago because nothing would take it out. Now, celery is a cool season crop, and it seems like for the longest, nothing would take it out. So celery was probably my most productive plant outside of beans. Beans coming out my ears. Beans were coming in so many different formats. I had yellow wax beans. I had purple beans. I had dragon tongue beans. I had green beans. I had all these beans, and I didn't have enough mouths to put it in. So we gave tons and tons of our produce away. We canned a ton of it. And guess what? I got beans growing downstairs in the indoor growing space. So I didn't stop there, y'all. I just kept them coming. So my raised beds did amazing as well. Cucumbers did well. I had cucumbers coming in. So we made lots and lots of pickles. And then we get to my containers. Now, with all of the raised beds that I have and my vertical towers, we didn't really need any other containers, but guess what? I had a ton of those too. In my containers, I mostly grew potatoes. Now, whether I'm talking sweet potatoes, whether I'm talking white potatoes, red skin potatoes, purple skin potatoes, 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 and more potatoes. I planted the first time around, I think like 30 containers of potatoes. And then as I harvested, I replanted. Now the second planting of potatoes didn't do very well, but I definitely have a year's supply of potatoes. And I have potatoes that I've had in storage now for almost 7 months. It might be 7 months now. And some of them still look great. And some of them are starting to produce eyes, and they're starting to come up. And so I'm just transforming them and canning them so that I can continue to store them. And so I have a ton of potatoes still left this year. Now, they may be canned potatoes versus fresh potatoes, but I have a ton of them left. And guess what? I planted some more in my indoor grow space. So potatoes was another healthy crop. Sweet potatoes, y'all, I harvested so many sweet potatoes. I have a 100-gallon container. It is a grow container, so a fabric pot is 100 gallons. And y'all, I got so many sweet potatoes, and I mean big sweet potatoes, like the kind you get when you go to the grocery store. Now, they're not lonkers where they're so big you don't even know if you want to eat it. They were the perfect size sweet potatoes, and we have been enjoying them. We had them for our holiday dinner. They're sweet, they're delicious. And that video, my sweet potato video, is the best video that I've had over this past year. It's gotten more views than probably all of my other videos put together. And a lot of people commented on just how excited I was to see these sweet potatoes come out the ground. And that was not fake. That was true excitement because I've never harvested sweet potatoes in the condition and the quantity that I did this year. So my sweet potato harvest was amazing. Talking about potato harvest, my girls were a big help this year as well. When it came to harvesting potatoes, they were right there. They were in the mix. They were getting their hands dirty. They were pulling the potatoes out for me. And they quit on me more than once. More than one time they quit on me and I had to finish the task. But they were there the whole way, enjoying harvesting the vegetables with me as well. Now, I've talked a lot about my vegetables, but I also grow just a little bit of fruit. And this past season, I was able to harvest, for the first time ever, a decent quantity of cantaloupes. And they weren't too small, they didn't fall off the vine. Nope, I grew multiple cantaloupes and they were so sweet and delicious. And I'm putting pictures of all the different things that we grew this year. And so here's this short video of one of the cantaloupes and just how orange it is inside and how delicious it was. So since I grew cantaloupes, I didn't buy cantaloupes from the grocery store. I tried to grow watermelon, didn't get very far. I had I think only one watermelon this year. The rest of them, I got vines, but I didn't get watermelons. Another fruit harvest that I had this year was grapes. So I planted grapes last year, and this year I was able to produce grapes on them. And they were small, but I was able to get grapes for the first time. So I'm sure we'll get more grapes this upcoming season. We also had blackberries, we had raspberries. I think I harvested 2 cranberries and 1 blueberry. So those bushes didn't do so well, but hopefully next year they'll do better if they don't all die on me, because some of them were looking kind of rough. I grew so many strawberries this year. It was like I was getting at least a pint every 3 or 4 days or so. And it got to the point that my girls couldn't eat them fast enough. So I started freezing them. And so I used the last of those strawberries to make some strawberry lemonade concentrate just a few weeks ago, so that I can continue to enjoy those strawberries. Now, I'm hoping this upcoming season I'm able to produce even more strawberries, because I did buy strawberry plants this year. But I don't think I'm going to need to buy any for this upcoming season, because strawberries are perennials. They will come back every year if I don't let them dry completely out this winter, and they'll come back. So hopefully we won't be having to buy strawberries, and we will continue to harvest from the strawberries that I have. And I have strawberries growing all over my garden. I got them in the main garden. I got them in pots and containers and in my GreenStalks. They're everywhere. And they're growing wild over at my neighbor's. She thought she pulled them all out a few years ago, and I tell you, we go over there every year and there's a few more. So I take those runners and I add those to my supply, so nothing goes to waste around here. And then the last thing I have from my fruit standpoint are my fruit trees. And y'all, I got nothing. I got nothing off of my fruit trees this year. And I have apple trees and peach trees, and I got nothing. And this was the first full season for all of those trees, first full season. So I planted them in 2022 during the middle of the growing season. And so they were in the ground for a year, but I thought I purchased 2-year-old trees. And so I was hoping to get a few this year, but nothing. But I already see the little the little nodes or whatever you want to call the little things where the fruit's supposed to grow. And so I'm feeling pretty confident that we will have peaches next year for sure, because there are a ton of those out there. And we will have a few apples, because even though I see places where the apples will grow, they're not as full as it is on the peach trees. But y'all, we are growing our own food. We are enjoying our own food. We are canning and preserving our own food. And our health is much better because of it. Our mental state is better because of it, because I'm not eating that processed stuff. I'm not eating that junk with stuff I can't even pronounce in the ingredients. And we are having a ball doing it. Y'all, it has been a great year. We are 1 year in and we're over 3,000 subscribers. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and click on those notifications so you'll know when we're posting something else from Kim's Cozy Corner. Now, I have been gardening for well over, 15 years? Grew up on a very small farm with my grandparents, but I never thought at this point in my life, this is what I would find joy in, but I am having so much fun and I love to teach. And so being able to share what I've learned as well as learning from you, the viewers, it has been amazing. And so as we close out 2023, I just want to say thank you again for joining me over this last season with all of the failures, the successes, me running from bees and spiders and anything else that might be creepy and crawly out there in the garden, and those darn squirrels. Y'all know how I feel about those squirrels. And so it's been a good year and we've been having fun in the garden, dealing with the heat and everything else that comes along with it. I just wanted to close the year out showing you some of the best of 2023 as we prepare for 2024. Join me in 2024 and we will do all of this again and we will learn new things, and I'm sure we will plant some new things as well. Thank you for 2023. Thank you for all of the subscribers, for all of the thumbs up, for all of those folks who turned on notifications, and for all of you who just dropped in and said, what is this video about? And you stayed to the end. I just want to say thank you for being you. I wish you the best as you end 2023 and as we look forward to 2024. Signing off from Kim's Cozy Corner. See you in the next video. Bye.